Yes, a
steel part
mild
of
steel fit
steel,
material.
Steel,
right?
mild
Sir,
steel,
you
stainless
only
steel.
said that all the sides are to be made 90 degrees, something like
No, no,
this.
that is not the material.
Sir,
What
raw material, mild steel, and for
right you
cutting
are.
tools, high carbon steel, high speed.
Yes, at least. Yeah. This part, right. So the raw material, what is used is mild steel, and the cutting tools which are used are
Hexa.
should be at least hacksaw. Same hacksaw is high speed steel, the material. That means I told you that there are varieties of steel. There are different types of steels which are produced and having different types of qualities. And the hardness of those different types of steel vary. And mild steel is the which is a steel which is also known as low carbon steel, where the carbon percentage is very low. That means you we have said that steel is an alloy where certain other materials are mixed up with iron. So carbon is one of the main constituent ingredient. So low carbon steel or mild steel is the one chosen for the workpiece. The reason also is that the mild steel is comparatively softer if you take, I mean, consider the other type of different types of steel. So mild steel is used as a workpiece. Now coming back to files, hacksaw, files and chisels. Hacksaw is a single type item where I told you there is a frame and there is a blade at the lower part of it, and the blade has teeth. There are a number of teeth. So those teeth, when rubbed against the material, I mean the workpiece, it gets cut. In the file, that is the hacksaw. I just know I've said. Now, while we talk about file, files are items which again have a surface, a flat surface where there are again the surface is not flat. Flat in the sense it's not smooth. So there are cutting lines. Those cutting lines are kept in a row. I mean, there are rows of cutting lines which is at an angle. And when that portion is rubbed against the material, that is a workpiece, the cutting teeth gets rubbed against the raw material and being harder, the tool being harder, that the file being harder, the raw materials are removed. Some of the raw materials, that means the workpiece from the workpiece, are removed in the form of dust. So when you file something, the material which is removed in the form of dust. And that is why removing material with file requires some time. So it takes some time because you have to rub it for some time to remove certain small portion of material. So in a fitting shop, when the question of material removal comes, then we will talk about the Cutting tools. While we talk about the cutting tools, the hacksaw is used to remove material which is more in amount. More amount of material if we have to remove, then we use a hacksaw. But when smaller amount of materials are to be removed on from a surface, then we use files. Different types of files are there. Now, today, I will show you, I will share the screen and show you one file, different parts of a file and how a file looks like. And I will ask you to write down the different types of files which are used in fitting shop. So I will be sharing my screen and showing you one sketch of a file with different parts. Okay, let me share the screen. Can you see the screen? Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now I'll give a picture of file over there. See, can you see a file drawing?
Yes, sir.
So this is a file. See, this is a file. This is the length of the file, and this is a flat surface where this portion, one end of it, is narrowed down and becomes a bit of pointed type. And this one is the handle. This handle is generally, earlier it was all wooden handle. Nowadays some synthetic materials are used also, like rubber, plastic, etc. And this part, which is narrow and sharp at this point, is pushed inside this wooden part or the handle part. Okay, so this handle comes here. So this handle is shown, it is shown apart, but it is actually here. I mean, the handle comes here. Okay, and that is the portion where it is gripped. One who will be doing filing will hold the file here with the handle. And after the handle, you see this is considered the length of the file up to the end, and this portion where the surface is flat, this is there are these cutting lines, and this is called as face. The open portion is known as face, right? And the thickness here is small. The thickness of the file compared to the width is small, which is known as edge. This portion is shown as edge, that is, the thickness is almost same everywhere, and this is called edge. The portion which is used to do filing is called a face, and the portion after which the tool is narrowed down and enters into the handle is known as heel. It is called heel. This is the heel part of the file. And this portion, the portion which is narrow is known as tang. This was called a tang. The tank portion goes inside this handle, and we get the handle here. So, and it is a tight one. So if we hold the file, we will hold it on the handle. And you can see the lines over here. Can you see the lines which are these lines? You can see they are parallel to each other, like a rows of parallel lines, but they are at an angle. They are at an angle with the edge. It is not vertical. It is at an angle. These lines are kept at an angle so that when the rubbing is takes place, when you rub the file against the raw material, these cutting edges are little high compared to the surface of the face. I mean, strips of line are there, very small height, but there are cutting. These are the cutting lines, which is written here, cutting point. So cutting point can be a point, but these are the lines. So these teeth or cutting lines are kept parallel in a row, parallelly, and at an oblique condition with the horizontal. So this angle generally is around 60 to 70 degree with the horizontal. And when material is rubbed against this, I mean the workpiece, the material from the workpiece gets cut, but it gets cut in the form of dusts, and you will see dusts falling down, and the material, suppose you are filing one side of the job or workpiece, and the dimension is reduced slowly. Suppose it was 50 millimeter in thickness. After filing for some time, the 50 millimeter width of the job becomes 49 millimeter. That means 1 millimeter is filed away. You file it down. So when you file it down, the material falls out. I mean, it goes out or removed from the workpiece in the form of dust. So metal dusts are left on the table. So this is a typical file, and this file is known as a flat file, while this face is sort of rectangular. This is a rectangular face, and the opposite part of it, the other side of it, is similar to it, having a thickness of the file. The thickness is uniform throughout, from the top to from this end up to the edge, end of the length, and it is uniform. And these two sides, both the sides, can be used for material removal process. And this cutting tip, which is shown here, you can see if you are if you see it carefully, you can see another line is there, another row of lines are there, which is reverse this way. You can see this way there is another line, which is also parallel lines, cutting lines, but the angle is different. This is one of the rows in this way, another is in this way. Some of the files have only one row of lines like this, say, and there are files where both this row of lines are there, cutting lines are there, and another row of cutting lines is there. So it crisscross, the cutting lines crisscross each other and form many cutting points. So the first one, where there is only one row of cutting lines, This is known as single cut, single cut file, and where there are another set, I mean, two sets of cutting tape, another row of cutting tape, then, I mean, two rows of cutting tape. That type of file is known as double cut files. So this is one of the division of the files. It can be single cut file, it can be double cut file, and you can understand. I mean, from just common sense, it is understood that a file which is having double cut condition, like two rows of cutting tape, that removes more materials. I mean, comparatively, when you compare it with a single cut file, the double cut files take out material more quickly. So when we have to do some rough cutting, that means we have to take out some certain material, more material, and we use the double cut file. And when comparatively less amount of material is to be removed, we used single cut file. So according to the cut, the file can be classified into two categories. One is single cut file, another is double cut file. So that is one classification of file. I told you last class that there are many types of files. So this is one category of classification. That according to the cut, we can have two types of files. One is single cut file, another is double cut file. So that is one classification. Now, these files, the file which is shown in the drawing is having a flat surface. So this is also known as flat file. Okay, this is also called a flat file. I mean, flat file can be then single cut, and flat file can be double cut, both. And you will have the option to use which type of file you will be using depending upon how much material you have to remove. You select a file which may be single cut file, which may be double cut file. Now, apart from this, I hope you are writing down the names of the files which I am telling you. Apart from this, there can be files which are not having a flat surface in all the sides. So if you for a flat file, if you take a cross section here, I mean, if you cut the file here, you will see it is the cross section is a rectangular. That means this will be the length and the thickness will be a small one, and then again the other side of it. That means the cross section will be like this, a rectangular cross section, if you take a cross section. So cross section wise, the files can be again classified. That means there are files which are not rectangular files. Apart from rectangular cross-sectional files, there are other types of files too. Now, one thing, let me tell you, with what I am saying you now, the classification of file, that is different types of files. Today in the class, during our class in the second half, 2:30 onwards, we will have a session where we will try to show you the files through video. We will show you the files and other tools also, measuring, marking tools, all the tools of fitting shop will be shown to you. So you will understand more, and you will be shown how the basic way of working with a material, workpiece, how it is done. So that will be done in the second half. Now I'll tell you the different types of files, the names and all. So, according to the cut, there are two types of file. One is single cut, another is double cut. Now, according to the cross-sectional area, the files can be classified as, write down the names. According to the cross-sectional area, the files can be like the first one. This is rectangular cross-section, like this rectangular cross-section. The other cross-sectional areas are, the files can be square files, where all the four sides are of the same dimension, equal. This face, the thickness, the other face, and the thickness all are all equal. So it can be a square file. The files can also be a triangular file. Triangular, where there are three faces only. These files have four faces, but a triangular file has only three faces, which is like a triangle, like this, simply a triangle. So that is a triangular file. Another file can be cross-section wise, another file can be a round file, the cross-section of which, I mean, there is no flat surface. This total length of the file is roundish, total round, the circular cross-section. And that is also required for doing filing in certain cases. So there can be one of the file can be circular file. So what I have said, rectangular cross-section, square cross-sectional files, round file, which is having a circular cross-section, that is a round file. The next category is half round file. Half round means one side is flat, but the other side has a curvature like this. I mean, if this side is flat, the other side of it is not flat. It has a curvature like this. Okay, so that is known as half round file. So there are occasions where materials are to be taken out with a half round file. So that is another another type of file, which is half round file. And apart from this, there can be knife edge file. Knife means KNIFE, knife, and edge is EDG, knife edge. So knife edge file is a thin type of file where you have to make a slot, where you have to make a very narrow slot, a narrow filing option is there. So you have to use that knife edge file in those cases to file a slot which is narrow. So you have to enter the thin file inside that and rub it so that the materials become smooth and some material is taken out. So one of the file can be knife edge file. So we have told you, according to cross sections, these are the types of files which are available: rectangular file, square file, round file, half round file, and then triangular, I said triangular file, and then knife edge file. So these are the types of files which are available to help out to get the shape of the workpiece.
The knife edge file.
Knife edge file, yes, knife edge
Okay,
file.
sir.
So all these files, these variations are from this part to this part, this length part. This part, the first part, which is having tang and heel, is the same for all handle. Okay. Here, this part is changed, and we can have different types of files. So we have seen that there can be single cut file, double cut file, knife edge file. Again, according to the frequency of the line, like if the lines, these lines are close to each other, these cutting lines are very close, and there can be files where the cutting lines are not so close, they are bit apart from each other. So this way we can have another category of file where the name of the files are rough file, rough, ROUGH, rough file, then smooth file, smooth file, and then also an extra smooth file, extra smooth file, and one of the file is also known as bastard file, BASTARD, bastard file. So depending upon the teeth, position of those teeth, the files can be categorized as,
Sir, can you tell the spelling again?
yeah. So we can have like according to the,
Sir, can you name the last file?
ওটা কি
yeah, I
বললেন
will.
বাস্টার্ড ফাইল বললেন
Yes, I am
বাস্টার্ড
coming
ফাইল
to that. Don't
ও
worry. I'll tell you. I'll tell you the spelling also. So according to this category, the last one which I said, the according to the frequency of the uh, cutting lines, the files are also classified as a rough file. Then one is bastard file, BASTARD, bastard.
Bastard file.
Rough file, bastard file. One is smooth file, another is extra smooth file. So you can imagine that for taking out more material, to taking out more amount of material to do quick work, we can use that rough file, we can use that bastard file. But for making, for taking out small amount of material and finish the job, we can use smooth file or extra smooth file, where when the filing operation is done, very small amount of material is removed and the surface becomes smooth. For those operation, the finishing operation, we use smooth file or extra smooth file. And the files can be, again, regarding the file, these are the more or less the categories I have told you, the different types of files available for doing fitting shop job. Now, regarding the length of the file, there are two categories of files, which there could be smaller length files as well as long files. The smaller length files are those, the length of which is from 100 to 200 millimeter. It is in terms of millimeter, I mean measured. And you know that when we talk about millimeter, the units are millimeter, centimeter, meter, etc. So 100 millimeter means 10 centimeter. It is a small one, very small file. And this category goes up to 200. 100 to 200 millimeter is the length. And there are some certain long files which starts from 200, after 200, and it can go up to 450 millimeter. That is 45 centimeter. It's quite long. So the length of the files also vary, and according to the length, there are two types of files. One are smaller files, which the length is limited up to 200 millimeter, and there is another group of files which are longer files or big files, where the length is limited up to 450 millimeter. And do you know the relation between the millimeter and inch? An inch, we are more generally we are more accustomed with this unit of length, that is inch and foot. We know that 12 inches make 1 foot. So 1 inch is equal to how much millimeter? Do anyone have any idea? Because when you get in
Sir,
the
is it 25 mm?
25 mm, you are correct. Approximately it is, there is decimal points, but approximately it is 25. 25 millimeter means 2.5 centimeter. Actually, it is 2.54 centimeter, which makes an inch. That is 25.4 millimeter makes an inch. So when you get a measuring scale, which is also a part of the marking and measuring tool in case of the fitting shop, you will have that measuring scale, that is the ruler, steel ruler, which is made from stainless steel, is having two markings on both the side. One side you will get inches, and one side you will get millimeter and centimeter. So these two uh, measuring units are engraved there in the scale. You must have seen scale. You have used also. The one side it is millimeter and centimeter. That is SI unit, which is normally used in engineering nowadays, and the other one is inch. It is given in inch, which is not followed in right now, but it is so popular that we still use this inch and foot. It's the earlier British unit that is still in use. But in case of the units which we follow now in engineering is SI unit, standard international unit, which is where the length is measured in terms of millimeter, centimeter, and meter, kilometer, and this series. So these are the lengths of the files. And regarding the material, I have told you earlier also that it should be high carbon steel at least. So apart from high carbon steel, the material of the files can be other quality of steel also. Like it can be alloy steel, some other alloy steel where the properties are even better, or it is more harder. High carbon steel is the material which at least you have to use when you are working on a mild steel, that is low carbon steel. So at least high carbon steel is required to get the to accomplish the work, because I told you that for a cutting operation the cutter must be harder than the workpiece which is to be cut. This physical property of hardness must be there for the cutting tool. Otherwise, cutting operation will not take place. So this is regarding the cutting tool, and comes under files, and then we will show you the today. I hope to show you the hacksaw also, where there is a frame, there is a blade, there is a handle. So those will be shown to you, and the other tools and instruments which are used, we will try to show you today as well. The job piece, how it looks like before the work and after some uh, work is done on the workpiece, giving it a shape according to a drawing. The shape is given according to a drawing supplied. So how it looks like. So this will be shown to you today. So for now, I will not continue anymore. I will be taking your attendance right now and release you for all of you to come back at 2:30, and we will have that part of our class where more will be discussed about the cutting tools and other tools of the fitting shop area. Just check one thing. In your measuring and marking list, have I added in the last class, have I added a name called surface plate? Just have a check and tell me.
No, sir.
No.
No, sir.
Then you add. I must have forgotten that day. Surface plate. That is a flat surface, a machine surface plate, which
So
is
yes, you are given, sir. You are given, sir.
Yes, sir. Yesterday you have taught this.
I've said. I've said.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. In the
Okay.
marking tool.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Measuring and
Measuring.
Yeah, yeah. It is. It will be
Oh,
under
yes.
measuring marker.
Yes, sir.
So, who said no at the first? You should have checked it. Carefully. That's all. So I was just thinking whether I have given or not the name, the surface plate. Fine. So just hold on. I'll be taking your attendance right now. Well, you respond. I'm calling the names. You respond according to the call. Um, this one more thing I forgot to tell you. Drawing. This drawing which is here of parts of a lathe, parts of a file. This can be a short question in any examination. Like draw the different parts of a file and name them. So this drawing is required. So in that case, I will be sending it. You made a WhatsApp group already, no? Last day.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So I'll be sending this drawing in the WhatsApp group. So you make a drawing in your copybook from there and learn it. So this could be a possible question for any sort of examination at any point of time. Right. So I'll be sending it. You copy it in your copybook and learn it. Okay. The names Rinita Sen.
Yes, sir.
Rinita Sen.
Yes, sir.
Then Orgodip Pani.
Present, sir. Present.
Yeah. And stop sharing. I'm closing the. Then Anindo Ghosh,
Present, please, sir.
Aishi Kundu,
Present, sir.
Atul Raj,
Present, sir.
Marmik Agarwal.
Present, sir.
Okay. Shihab
Yes, sir.
Al Farasat.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Raj Singh,
Present, sir.
Shubronil,
Present, sir.
Niladri Ranjan Pal,
Present, sir. Present, sir.
Aditya Banerjee,
Present, sir.
Aindrila Chakravarti,
Yes, sir.
Avirup Biswas,
Present, sir.
Shaurik Poddar,
Present, sir.
Prince Kumar,
Present, sir.
Shomi Shamanto,
Present, sir.
Abhi Chakravarti,
Present, sir.
Ankita
Yes, sir.
Chongdaria, Shagnik Mukherjee, Shagnik Mukherjee is not there. Okay. Rito Cheta Vaduri,
Present, sir.
then Strajal Srivastava,
Present, sir.
Iti Saraf.
Present, sir.
Okay. Shwal Kole,
Present, sir.
Shantanu Kapas,
Yes, sir.
Sattam Bhattacharjee, Sattam, Sattam is not there. Ilhan Raza,
Present, sir.
present? Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Pooja Kumari,
Present, sir.
Aman Gupta,
Present, sir.
Pushpendu Bera,
Present, sir.
Rifa
Present,
Akhtar,
sir.
Farhan Ahmed,
Present, sir.
Soham Basu,
Present, sir.
Avrojit Basak,
Present, sir.
Anubhav Kumar, Anubhav Kumar is not there. Aditya Ghosh,
Present, please, sir.
Anushrita,
Present, sir.
Kundan, Kundan Sharma is not there. Sangeeta Jha, Sangeeta absent. Sangeeta Jha is not there. Then Chandrani, Chandrani Das Sharma also not responding. Okay. Then well, just hold on. Mowli,
Present, sir.
Harsh Ranjan,
Present, sir.
Showman, Digar,
Yes, sir.
Tejas,
Present, sir.
Mrinal,
Present, sir.
Lishan Ali,
Present, sir.
Shagnik Ghoshal,
Present, sir.
Farzina Khatun,
Present, sir.
Obdi,
Present, please, sir.
okay, Shagnik Biswas,
Present, sir.
okay, Riddhi Banerjee,
Present, sir.
Pratik Tiwari,
Present, sir.
Shubhajit Rao,
Present, sir.
then Mohammad,
Present, sir.
what's the name, full name?
Mohammed Zain Khan.
Jain,
Zain.
Zain Khan, right.
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Then Arun Kumar,
Yes, sir.
acha, anybody left out?
Sir, Sagnik
Yes.
Mukherjee's mic is not working, sir. It's written in the chat box.
Yeah, I've seen. Shagnik
Sir, new
Mukherjee,
admission here.
oh,
Ahuna.
Some,
okay, wait, one by one. Shagnik, I have given attendance. His mic is not working. And next, who said new admission? The girl,
Ahuna.
just hold on. Is this the first class for you
Yes, sir.
in workshop?
Yes, sir.
Ahona,
Sinha Roy.
Ahona Sinha Roy.
Thank you, sir.
Today you
sir,
have joined the class.
my also first day.
First class, first day.
Yes, yes.
Your name?
Apurva Jha.
Apurva Jha. This is also first class of yours.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And Shubhajit, I have already called name. Shubhajit is there in the class?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Shubhajit what? Chao.
Vajit Sahu.
That's all right. So Zain is also there. Arun Kumar is also there. Arun Kumar?
Yes, sir.
Fine. The name of those who were absent are Chandrani Das Sharma, Sangeeta Jha, Kundan Sharma, Anubhav Kumar, and Satyam Bhattacharjee. These are the students who are absent today. Now, all of you come back at 2:30 in time.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir, actually, last week in the second session, I got disconnected just before the attendance. I wrote in the chat box, and you said that we will discuss it in the next class.
Yeah, I remember. You, Arun Kumar, no?
No, sir. Ilhan Raza.
Who?
Ilhan Raza.
Ilhan Reza. Hold on.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ilhan Reza. Do you remember your serial number? Yeah,
Yes, sir.
26.
26.
अच्छा ठीक है. Well, yeah, we have discussed it. Today there is no problem with your mic.
No, sir. Sir, actually, I got disconnected last time.
अच्छा. ठीक है, Ilan. You reminded
Thank
me.
you, sir.
That's okay. Thank you, students. You may leave.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, come back.
Thank you,
in time.
sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Yeah, তপন ক্লাসে এসছেন নাকি? Are you there?
आज ये program का thing is yes sir,
Uh,
yes sir. What is the program in the second half?
same program.
Sir. Okay, okay.
Last yesterday, what